Both teams having used 3 pitchers in the ball game today, and with 2 out, nobody on, here's Reggie. It is live from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. The New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals. The crowd came in quietly for the first game last night. They are coming in quietly again today. And perhaps the headline in the morning newspaper pretty well defines everything about the circumstances, the emotional attitude, and perhaps even the spirit here in Kansas City right now. Curses foiled again by those damn Yankees. It's a legitimate headline because that's exactly what happened. The frustration continuing to build here because in successive years they went to the final inning of the final game and in one instance the final out before the Yankees secured the American League Championship. This generation of Kansas City ball players have never tasted the sweetness of having a pennant flying on the center field flagpole, and they want it. The people of the community want it, and there is a strong wave of feeling sweeping through the ranks of the athletes in Kansas City uniforms today. I'm Keith Jackson, and there are many factors that we deal with when you start covering sports. You can talk about the big he-men all you want, but this element of team play and team contribution is so fragile, it does not take very much to upset the balance. Let's turn now to my colleagues for this telecast this afternoon. First, Howard Cosell, and your views as we get ready for Game 2, Howard.
Well, I think my views were expressed in that pregame show talk with Fred Patek, who was so forthright, and also in your statement about the atmosphere. It's almost funereal in Royal Stadium. It's as if they have given up, and the players deeply resent the fans' attitudes here. Patek spoke for all of them, I think. George Brett echoed those sentiments in another talk with me. Whitey Herzog is quite aware of the fact that this is a must-win game for Kansas City. It's just not in the cards for them to go into Yankee Stadium were they to lose today and win 3 in a row at the stadium against a team of the Yankee caliber. And so Herzog has done some things that he hopes will shake his team up. Yet last night they played with an obvious lassitude. He's gone back to the kind of hitting lineup that used to spark the Royals. He has Brett leading off, Hal McRae batting second. Steve Braun is out of the lineup today. The rookie Clint Hurdle is in. We'll see what impact, if any, that will have on the course of play. In the meantime, for an analysis of the 2 pitchers today, there's no better man probably in the American League in terms of qualification. The great pitching ace of the Birds of Baltimore, Jim Palmer. Figueroa against Gura. Will you analyze each of them for us?
Well, Larry Gura is one of the hottest pitchers in the American League. He's 14-4 as a starter this year. He's won 12 out of his last 14 games. He throws a fastball, a curveball, a slider. He has a great changeup that's kind of like a screwball. And I think in a game that the Kansas City Royals must win, and today is obviously one of those, they got their best pitcher on the mound. So if they're not going to win with him, it's going to be tough. You have Ed Figueroa for the Yankees. He's won 13 out of his last 15 decisions, 8 in a row. Probably one of the most underestimated pitchers in the American League. Over the last 4 years, he's won more games with the exception of Dennis Leonard and myself in the American League. Won 16 games last year, 19 the year before, 20 this year. Outstanding pitcher. He's a power pitcher, regardless of what a lot of people think. I thought when he first came over, he's a sinker ball pitcher, but he throws the fastball. He's got a good breaking ball. When he gets tired, though, he gets the ball up, and then I think the key to the whole thing is neither of these pitchers have ever won a game in the playoff or the World Series. So really, You would think it should be a pitching battle, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Greg Nettles is batting fifth, followed by Chris Chambliss, the first baseman. Roy White is the designated hitter today. Fred Stanley is at second base instead of Brian Doyle because of the left-handed pitcher, and Bucky Dent, the Yankee shortstop. A correction on the lineup of umpires. It is Ron Luciano at first base, not Marty Springstad. So here is Mickey Rivers to lead it off for the New York Yankees. Game 2 for the American League Championship. It's a 3 out of 5. They go back to New York with an off day tomorrow, resume play on Friday, then games 4 and 5 will be Saturday night and Sunday night. And Larry Gura's first pitch to Mickey Rivers is outside, ball 1. Pops him up. Pete LaCock comes down, calls off Darrell Porter, and makes the catch and foul ground for out number 1.
Batting second, number 15, Thurman Munson. Catcher.
Watch how quickly the mood of the crowd changes, Keith, if the Royals get out in front. It'll only take a run.
But you need that enthusiasm when the ball club comes out of the dugout for even the presentation of players. You need them knocking holes in things. Wait till the Yankees come out of the dugout in New York on Friday afternoon. The pitch is in there for strike 1.
That's Whitey. He knows what this game means all too well to him personally.
To the shortstop, Patek. High throw, he's safe. Munson's aboard on Patek's error.
And you won't see that very often, Keith. He's got one of the most accurate arms in the league.
He's a tense young man today, Jim, as he evidenced in his pregame show remarks. He's really all bound up inside, wanting to prove so many things at once. And as you can see, Munson crossed the base in time.
Lou Piniella now. Lou is in left field today. Played right field last night. Thurman Munson, the Yankee catcher, is at first.
I was talking to Reggie. He was commenting that normally Lou used to pick him up. Usually when you have older players, they never play the day after a night game. Now it's the other way around. He's going out there to pick Lou up.
Move to first. Luciano, the first base umpire.
I had thought for a moment George Steinbrenner, the Yankee owner, might have Billy Martin here today as a non-playing weapon. It was Billy who got rid of Gura when Gura was with the Yankees, and Gura doesn't look favorably upon Billy.
Pitch just nips the outside corner, and the count is 1-1 with 1 out and 1 aboard. Gura, 1978, 1-1 against the Yankees, 1-1 lifetime.
Everybody seems to think the Yankees are a team that doesn't hit left-handers very well, but they had a better record against left-handers than did right-handers.
It's true. 1-2 now on Piniella with Munson at first and 1 out. Gura came over from the Yankees in a trade for catcher Fran Healy. He is unsigned as yet. As of the 1978 season, he strikes out Piniella.
Pretty good fastball on the outside corner.
91 miles per hour, according to our Jugs gun. So, as Jim Palmer's already said, the man is deceptively fast.
Well, he has an easy windup. You don't think the ball is getting up there as quick as it does. You have to keep looking for the breaking ball.
Two out now. Munson off first base, and Gura's first pitch to Jackson just inside and low.
If you remember the opening game of the playoffs 2 years ago, Keith, when Gura started for the Royals against Catfish Hunter, Gura.
Ball 2.
Gura went head-to-head with the Catfish down the stretch. It was a Roy White double down the left field foul line that broke the game open for the Yankees in the very late innings.
Well, he's started short relief, long relief. Finally, this year, he got his chance to be a regular starter in the rotation, and he truly delivered, finishing at 16-4. And now it's 3 balls and no strikes. He's got to come with a cripple. That's ball 4.
12 straight times on base in postseason play for Reggie Jackson.
That's not counting the home run that he struck the game he had Monday in Boston, which counts as a regular season game. There was as much tension and pressure in that game as any game I've ever seen. Greg Nettles, the batter now, with Munson at second base and Jackson at first base and 2 out here in the top of the first inning. Strike.
Good pitch. Nettles should have swung at that one.
It looked like a high slider, but I think it just fooled him. Right in the middle of the plate. Pretty good pitch to hit if you're looking for it.
Really was. Won't get that back.
Kind of looks like the fans are just sitting back and waiting to see what's going to happen. Kind of like Kansas City played last night.
They need noise. They need enthusiasm. They need fervor. It's a tap to the mound. Gura has it. Goes to first. Inning is over. Yankees threaten, but they are turned away. So after 1/2 inning of play in game number 2, over in center field, a sore-legged Mickey Rivers. Paul Blair may very well come in late in the game to replace him as he did last night. Reggie Jackson is playing right field today. Now we move to the inner defense. It's the same, with the exception of second base. There's Greg Nettles at third. At shortstop, you have Bucky Dent. And here is the change at second base, where with a left-hander Gura on the mound, Fred Stanley is playing there. At first base, it is Chris Chambliss. And back at the plate, Thurman Munson with Ed Figueroa on the mound. Ed Figueroa and Thurman Munson in the battery. And Figueroa with a win of 20 games this year, the first Puerto Rican pitcher ever to do it, and he is just as proud of that as he can be.
Dwayne Kuiper is the batter. He bounced out to the second baseman. In the second, he flied to left in the fourth, and he flied to left in the seventh. Bucky Dent boots it, flips in time. Ball game's over. Yankees win it. And look at the Yankee bench coming out to greet Figueroa, who is a happy young man. And there he is, the first native-born Puerto Rican to ever win 20 games in the major leagues.
George Brett will lead it off for Kansas City, followed by Hal McRae and Amos Otis. This is a lineup that produced so well for Whitey Herzog here in Kansas City. It is the leadoff position that has been so inconsistent for Kansas City in production this year. And so Whitey goes back to George, and he takes a strike. There it goes with the top 3 men, Brett, McRae, Otis. Then comes Porter and the cleanup, Pete Lecoq, Hurdle, Cowens, Patek, and White. With a count of 1 ball and 1 strike on the leadoff man, George Brett, and it's 2-1.
That's what you have to be careful of with Figueroa. Streaks of wildness. He got belted in the critical game in Cleveland. All 3. Because he couldn't get the ball over the plate and had to come in with fat home run pitches to Thornton and Cage consecutively.
Now it is 3-1 as Figueroa takes a walk behind the mound. George Brett, like so many of the Royals last night, jumping at the ball, swinging at bad pitches. Strokes it to right field. Base hit. Listen to the crowd now as they suddenly are alive early in the ball game.
That's all it takes.
That's not a good idea to get 3-1 on George Brett. He has an on-base percentage around 40%. And you have Hal McRae. Normally you'd like to have a good left-handed hitter coming up now that can hit the ball in the hole. But Hal McRae from the right side can do that as well as anybody in the American League.
That's the point. He can spray the ball. He's a bat manipulator. It's a matter of his laying off bad pitches. Last night he was guilty, like so many of the Royals, of going at bad pitches.
Well, Whitey Herzog said 10 guys made outs on pitches that could have been ball 4. And when you do that, you can't possibly win a game.
I was running over my scorecards. You can count at least 5 or 6 of them. Luciano steps right off the bag and looks Chambers right in the eyes as he saves. Now here comes Whitey Herzog out, and undoubtedly he's talking about Figueroa's move on the mound. Whitey is arguing it's a balk move.
I'm sure he's talking about his left knee. When you make a balk move, you collapse your left knee like you're going to home plate, and then you turn and throw to first base. Louis Keon is the best one I know in the American League.
He's also, Jim, doing it to arouse his ball club. This is a very intelligent man. He's well aware of human emotions, and he wants to make sure that his club is, as much as possible, up after what happened last night.
I think it's going to help the attitude of the fans, too.
They're trying to hold Brett as close as possible because George will run. Steve Burrows, the coach at first. Chuck Hiller, the coach at third. Hiller turns those palms up. They're going. The pitch is swung to the right side by McRae. Reggie Jackson toward the line, makes the catch. And it's 1 out. Al got it to the right side, but lifted it. Amos Otis comes to the plate. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Figueroa being very deliberate here in the bottom of the first inning. After Brett lined the single to right field, he got McRae to fly out to right. Now he must deal with Otis. Ball is hit to right, up the alley. Jackson plays it on a hop. Brett turns, he goes to third.
So in the bottom half of the first inning, the Royals begin to answer a lot of questions about themselves. So look at it again. Hit beautifully to right field. Jackson there. And with the runner going, no question, then on first and third. George Brett on third. Otis coming off the best year of his baseball life. 298-96 ribbies.
Darrell Porter, the catcher, the cleanup man, the hitter for Kansas City with 1 out and runners at the corner. He wears glasses. He has an astigmatism. That's one of the reasons that he will use different stances. You notice against the right-handed pitcher, he's standing almost parallel to the plate with his body very open. That way he sees the ball straight on coming off the mound. If he were to stand as most people do, he would have trouble picking it up. So that's why he has gone to that particular stance. Obviously, it's working for him because he has been most productive as Otis takes off and goes to second, and Thurman Munson does not even look at him. Now with 1 out, the Royals have base runners at second and third. 2-1 pitch to Porter. Hit out to left field. Pinella's got to go back. He makes the catch. Brett tags. He scores. And over to third base goes Otis. Now there's a piece of Kansas City baseball that the people are used to seeing here as Amos Otis moved from second to third on the throw-in from Pinella while Brett scored. And the Royals take a 1-0 lead.
Interesting to watch Pinella on that play, Jim. He started in very quickly and then suddenly realized the ball had a much greater carry than he had initially judged.
Well, the wind's blowing. It's kind of been shifting from right field, blowing out all the time. And watched him take batting practice today, and the ball was carrying very well. This is one of the biggest ballparks in baseball.
Lecoq hits the ball high in the air to left field. Makes the catch for the third out of the inning as Dick Tidrow is up and warming up in the Yankee bullpen. It's 1-0 Kansas City after 1 inning. There is Dick Tidrow warming up in the Yankee pen just in case it is one of those days for Ed Figueroa. Right now, Chris Chambliss leads off for the Yankees in the top of the second inning, to be followed by Roy White and Fred Stanley. The fourth hitter, if he has a chance, would be Bucky Dent. Larry Gura on the mound for Kansas City is outside for ball one.
I was talking Chris down by the batting cage, and we alluded last night to the fact that we felt he had a slow bat, and I asked him if he was tired, and he said it's just the contrary. He said in the last few years everybody's been throwing him so many fastballs that he's just concentrated on hitting the fastball, and now he's made himself susceptible to the breaking ball. And he said if there's anything, he's jumping at the ball and getting out too quick. He said when he's tired, he gets jammed a lot. He said most of the balls he's been hitting now are on the end of the bat.
It's interesting.
Fastball is high for ball two. 2-1.
It sure looked to me that he was tired.
Yeah, it looked that way to me.
But he said I think he said the ball he hit in Boston Monday that he went to left field with when they had that rally.
That's a base hit to right field.
You know, Jim, Gura's a little bit faster, but he reminds me a great deal of Rick Waits, the Cleveland southpaw who was so successful against the Yankees this year and who won the final regularly scheduled game of the season over the Yankees.
Well, they have a lot of similarities. Larry probably doesn't have as good a curveball, but they both throw over the top and they both change speeds real well, and usually that's the type of pitcher that
troubles this Yankee team, mixing up the pitches.
Switch hitter Roy White hitting right-handed. As we work through the bottom part of the Yankee batting order, that's on the ground to Frank White at second. They get one at relay at first is too late. Patek coming across from the shortstop position. Scraped the bag at second to retire Chambliss, but on the field is choice Roy White, still with good speed.
Well, Roy did his job. He went to the right side to advance the runner. As you see, Chris didn't get the biggest jump in the world.
Look at him cheat right here. He's not even on the bag when he gets the ball. But you got to do those things. Just hope the umpire doesn't call him like he sees it.
Did you see where Chris slid, trying to make contact with Patek in order to thwart any possibility of a double play?
I think they remember the way Hal McRae went into second base last year.
I think so.
Fred Stanley playing second base today, number 8 man of the Yankee batting order. Point being that in the ultimate, the base runner Chambliss was safe.
Well, not most of the time. Only very rarely did they ever accuse or call the phantom double play. See? He's way off the bag, but you have to cheat. As long as you don't make it too obvious, and as long as the throw is not to the right or the left, they usually give you that.
Looked pretty obvious.
Base runner breaking White. Patek went to cover at second base, and Stanley hit it right through the hole where Patek had been standing.
Now this relates to Bob Lemon and the playing of Chicken Stanley today. A lot of eyebrows were raised about playing Stanley in the wake of Doyle's impressive performance last night. As we look at this again. Now, watch Patek. Then he's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, running over to cover, and Chicken put it through. One is not disposed to quarrel with any move these days that Bob Lemon makes. One is rather disposed to think that the next time Hollywood makes a movie about God, Bob Lemon will play the role instead of George Burns.
You're going to say George Steinbrenner.
Bucky Dent, the shortstop for the Yankees, number 9 man in the order at the plate with 1 out, and Roy White at second base. Pitch is outside.
The Yankees are doing things right. Normally, the reason that Patek covered the base is because Stanley is not a pull hitter. Either the pitch was an off-speed pitch, or he just knew that Patek was covering and tried to hit the ball to shortstop.
Remember what we developed last night. The Yankees, a team of hidden heroes.
Well, Fred said that he was a little bit apprehensive about playing second. He got to play against Cleveland, but nobody ever hit him any ground ball.
Goes to second, 1. Back to first, double play. Bucky Dent rounds into the DP. And the inning is over. After 1.5 in Kansas City, the Royals lead the Yankees 1-0. With Brett starting it and White getting a good pivot and velocity at second base and get Larry Gura out of trouble. And now for Kansas City in the bottom of the second, it'll be Clint Hurdle, Al Cowens, and Fred Patek. Hurdle on the season, 264, 7 home runs. He's a baby, rookie. Fouls it away for strike 1. John Mayberry was traded to Toronto They made it very obvious they intended to give Hurdle the best shot at first base, and he did not really deliver at that position.
Not happy career figures against the Royals. Fred Figueroa.
Foul. Count remains 2-2.
There's a lot of pressure on you when you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated and you take the place of a guy like John Mayberry, who had a bad year last year and hit 24 home runs and drove in 85 runs. And here you are, supposed to hit home runs, and maybe you're not a home run hitter.
Strokes it, right center, base hit for Hurdle.
See that pitching mistake? He got it over the inside half of the plate where Hurdle could get on it. Figueroa clearly not at all sharp. See that?
Right down the middle.
Right, said he likes it a little below the belt over the inside half of the plate, and that's exactly where Figueroa threw it, and exactly where he should not have thrown it, which is easy to say from up here.
Certainly is.
Batter is Al Cowens, who has been going from stance to stance to stance this year. He has not been stinging the ball like he did a year ago. But he goes to the left side. And it's in there for a base hit as Hurdle stops at second. Back-to-back singles in the bottom of the second inning for Kansas City. The Royals leading 1-0.
New day, new game, new Royals team. A team bent on proving themselves to the people of their own city and to the press of this city.
Tidrow hustles back to work in the Yankee bullpen.
Situation a little like Boston's with regard to the press. The Boston press gave up on the Red Sox long before the Red Sox came to life with that late streak.
Bluffs the bunt, goes with a swing. The ball gets loose at third base. Here comes the runner to the plate. Patek moving up, and so is Al Cowens. And Kansas City now leads 2-0.
Well, he fakes the bunt here, and then he swings away.
Using that artificial surface, he was trying to get Dent moving. Bucky had the ball come straight to him, but looked like the ball hit the runner.
It did indeed.
Well, you only get a very good angle on the throw. You'll see the angle here. Hurdle's right in his way. I don't think he had time to take a step to the right or left.
Error on Dent's throw. Fielder's choice for Patek. Run is in. Royals lead 2-0 as Hurdle scrambled to the plate. Batter is Frank White. Over the mound. Up the middle. Bounces through. Base hit. Cowens scores. Here comes Patek. Royals lead 4-0.
Now hear them. The sweet smell of success in the crowd comes to life.
Oh, he throws him a pretty good pitch. He reached for it, but on artificial turf, nobody plays right up the middle. The infielder was halfway in anyway, trying to cut off a run at the plate.
So Mr. Gura has a lot of security now to work with. 4 runs.
Bob Lemon at the mound. Tidrow has been active in the Yankee bullpen. You would think that Bob almost has to go to him right here.
He will.
So time is out in Kansas City as the Royals in the second inning have jumped out to a 4-0 lead. For Ed Figueroa in the bottom of the second inning as the Royals have counted 3 times already and nobody out. They're looking for the big inning. Tidrow appeared on Sunday against Cleveland. He pitched 5 innings, allowed 5 hits and 2 runs, and you saw his season totals reflected there a moment ago. And so the bottom portion of the Kansas City batting order doing its thing today as Hurdle, Cowens, Patek, Patek and White have produced 3 runs along with the error by the Yankee shortstop Bucky Dent on the throw at third. Tonight, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies get the National League Championship Series underway with Bert Hooton against Larry Christensen, and that's a surprise pitching choice for a lot of people by Danny Ozark of the Phillies.
Did you see where Danny predicted he'd win 3 in a row?
Oh, yeah. Well, sort of says predictions don't win the playoffs.
I also remember how a good many of the Phillies looked last Saturday morning when they came into breakfast in Philadelphia before going out against the Pirates and hanging on to win 10-8. Pressure on that ball club during this.
Well, Danny said he picked them 3 in a row because they played so well last weekend in Pittsburgh. Didn't he lose a doubleheader Friday night?
Yeah, gave it away, literally.
I guess that's eternal optimism.
Each game in the 9th inning, Jim.
That could be a very good series, though.
This is one of my favorite ball players in the big leagues, George Brett. Tough cookie.
Nobody out and Frank White at first base and 3 runs in. 4-0 Kansas City. Tidrow trying to put out the fire. Brett hits it high into the air to the right field. Jackson goes back to the warning track in front of the wall, makes the grab for out number 1.
George did not exactly fail to hit that ball well either.
He just missed it.
Tidrow was ineffective in a relief stint in the final regularly scheduled game of the season against Cleveland. But on the very day that Billy Morton left the Yankees here in this city, that night, Tidrow pitched with great effectiveness against the Royals.
White goes again. McRae hits it past Dent. Dent was moving to cover second with White coming down, and Al McRae bounces it right on through, and White goes to third.
Dent tried to come back on the ball. His feet went out from under him. Watch closely now as we look at it again.
Oh, he makes a good pitch. It's a double play ball, except here's where speed will kill you. Frank White's running on the ball. Dent goes to cover. He's out of position, and now you have a first and third situation with a pretty good hitter coming up.
And with Kansas City enjoying a 4-run lead, they will run you crazy. Look for McRae to go to second.
With Amos Otis the batter. Otis singled in the first inning, stole second. Inside.
You can see from that shot that how much his ball runs in. When he's throwing good, he's very tough on right-handers. And with his changeup, he's been able to get left-handers out very good this year. He's had a spotty year, but like you said, he pitched some great ball games. Tough spot to come in here.
Foul back. High to the right side and out of play in the crowd. Munson set up outside. Tidrow hit the spot with a fastball, and
Big pitch, Keith.
Well, here he throws him a fastball on the outer part of the plate. Makes a pretty good pitch. Looks like he's throwing hard. Obviously fooled on Amos.
Here's Mr. Porter.
Had a sacrifice fly in the first inning to produce the first run of the ball game.
He's a chunky little guy who'll fool you with his speed, McRae.
Oh, he can run good.
He can run well. I say that in behalf of the English teachers of America.
And Jim Beatty, that's what he said. Somebody attributed a quote to him that he said he pitched good. He said, I went to Dartmouth. I probably said I pitched well.
Hit on the ground toward the hole. Dent has it. No play. Run scores. 5-0 Kansas City.
It's a pretty good pitch. He hits a ground ball, but on AstroTurf, if it's not hit at you, and you have a guy that can run pretty good, like Al McRae, you can't get a force at second base. Dent doesn't get the ball out of his glove.
Well, Nettles' effort was despairing. He knew exactly what was happening.
Pete Lecoq will come to the plate now, and the Royals have batted around in the bottom of the second inning. Pete swings and misses on a sinker for strike 1. Darrell Porter off first base as Lecoq hits it back to the mound. Tidrow flagging it, stopped it from going up the middle for a base hit. A big inning for Kansas City. The Royals lead after 2, 5-0. Change when it was 7-1 last night. He's down 0-5 today. 3 of the 5 runs scored by Kansas City earned.
With a 5-run edge, the one thing Larry won't want to do, Jim, is get behind anybody.
Well, his walks per inning ratio is good, but he's going to have to pitch his game. He's throwing hard. He's throwing between 88 and 91 miles per hour. He thought that was a strike. But the big thing is he's got to change speeds. He cannot get the Yankees out just throwing fastballs.
Mickey Rivers, top of the order for New York. That's a strike. It's 2-1 on Mickey with Thurman Munson on deck and Lou Piniella waiting.
A lot of times pitchers that aren't accustomed to getting big leads like that, I think you almost get more nervous than they would if the game is close.
That's a little soft roller out in front.
Get it.
Rivers is on.
Nick the Quick.
Mickey Rivers chops one in front of the plate. There's no play, and the leadoff man is aboard. And so far in this ball game, as we begin the 3rd inning of play, Gura has not been able to get the New York hitters out in order.
No, he just threw a fastball, and Rivers topped it, and there's no way anybody's going to throw him out. It's funny, I think it's fashionable to play him like Pete Rose did in 1976, way in, but I doubt if we'll ever see Mickey Rivers bunt in this playoff series. He didn't bunt against us once this year. When he was with California 4 years ago, that's all he did. And now it seems like he has the capabilities of hitting the ball hard like we talked about last night. He just seems that he doesn't want to bunt.
He also has sore legs, and that reflected in that slow walk back to the bag.
Did you see that? Yep. Delivering a message to Lemon.
To Blair.
Munson hits it on the ground. Patek flags it. White for 1. Over to first. Double play. That's why they bunch up in the middle defensively around the infield.
Right. Exactly right.
Gura just throws him a low fastball. Thurman, a good hitter he is, hits it up the middle where it was. Freddie makes a fine play.
But they're playing in the middle there for that very reason. We talked about that last night. You make a choice. You play the middle or you protect the foul lines.
Well, that's what Frank White said. He just said he's going to play according to the scouting reports, and if the guy's a full hitter, he'll play him down the lines, and otherwise he's going to bunch everybody up the middle. Fred Stanley said the same thing. He said he's so unfamiliar with second base position that he, in a double play situation, is going to cheat and try to get as close to the bag as he can. It's hard to stop on AstroTurf sometimes and get your feet under you.
We saw that with Bucky Dent.
Flagged by Gura. Piniella thrown out for the first time. It's a 1-2-3 inning, but it took a double play to effect it, and after 2.5, it is 5-0 Kansas City. Clint Hurdle, Al Cowens, Fred Patek for Kansas City, and this is the group that started the outburst in the bottom of the 2nd. Hurdle just turned 21 at the end of July. That pitch is outside. It's 3-1. He's now 6'3", 202. He grew almost an inch in the past year, so he is still growing. Probably get up to that 6'3", 4 range and 200 plus. He's aboard.
What happened to the Yankees in the top of the 3rd? Look at that as they try to get the fans exalted. Can kill you. The leadoff man gets on. Dynamite guy on the base paths. Munson has an apparent base hit turned into a double play, and when you're 5 runs down, that really can kill you.
Hurdle edges off. Al Cowens swings and misses on a breaking pitch for strike 1. Hits it in the air to center field for Rivers, and you've got 1 out as Hurdle comes back to first base. The crowd today, we have 15 more than we had last night. 41,158, a total of 82,301 for the 2 games here in Kansas City. And at the plate, Freddie Patek.
I think Freddie satisfied himself with the start of that double play on Muntz. It was a fine play, and a lot of attention has to be out of him now with his ball club 5-0 ahead.
Figueroa hits the strike zone. 0-1 to Patek. Strike 2.
Two guys have hit grand slams off me, none in the major leagues, but he did it in spring training one year.
Freddie did?
Yeah. He can hit the ball a long way for a little guy, and the other guy was Johnny Bench.
Bench, I can understand.
Well, Earl Weaver came out the mound and just told me to throw the ball down the middle to him, and I did. He hit it 450 feet to left field.
Runner goes, pitch is hit in the air to the right side. Reggie Jackson coming in a hurry, makes the catch. Little soft fly ball to short right field. Patek is gone. You've got 2 out.
The second baseman, Frank White.
Frank White is now the hitter for Kansas City. I'm frankly not at all surprised, Howard, how candid he was in his comments to you today when you talked to him in the pregame show, because I remember sitting on a pier in Hawaii with him last year at Super Teams talking about the last season. And he doesn't mince words. He tells you what he thinks. Runner goes, pitch is popped up. Third baseman Greg Nettle just in foul ground. Makes the catch, and the inning is over. So Kansas City is turned away in the bottom of the third after 3. 5-0 Royals. Bone chip in his right ankle. He is not on the roster. Played very effectively for Kansas City with a cast on. He drew a shoe for his cast. So you really have to take a second look when you walk by him. He's almost turned back and said, Jerry, I thought your foot was broken, and then you realize he's putting you on with a painted shoe. That is a cast. Batter is Reggie Jackson, to be followed by Greg Nettles and then Chris Chambliss. Top of the 4th inning, with the Royals out on top of the Yankees 5-0. The Yankees won last night 7-1. Jackson hits a bullet back to the mound. Gura, a good athlete, throws him out.
Here you see Gura throwing Reggie looks like a slider. Kind of got it up out over the plate, and Reggie hit it, I think, off the end of the bat. Looked like he caught it in the air, but apparently not, as he forces Reggie at first.
Gura is considered one of the better fielders among the pitchers in the American League. As a matter of fact, it is one of his very strong points. And it also, and we get around to the bottom line, at the end of the season, it means you can help yourself if you are a good fielder.
Well, when you notice his windup, he lands very much on balance. If you land off balance, it's very hard to go to your right and left. He has, like I said, a very compact windup and doesn't go either way. He's ready to field the ball.
Count is 1-1 on Greg Nettles. He not only lifts weights, eats health food, and carries his own blender on the road, but he plays a lot of tennis, but he plays with his right arm in tennis. That one's flagged down. He gets Jackson and Nettles both.
In fact, he has had 3 consecutive assists because he got Piniella the same way in the 3rd inning.
George Brett probably came over and said, if we can get a lot more runs, Larry, how'd you like to play 3rd? Now, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen George, but he's ambidextrous, and I saw him throwing on the sidelines left-handed one day, and I said, who's the new pitcher for Kansas City? And it was George.
No, it was the brother Ken.
No.
That one is stroked up the middle for a base hit by Chris Chambliss. And so with 2 out, Chris is on.
Chris is 2 for 2 against Gura. And I must say, although Reggie did hit it off the end of the bat, he still got pretty good wood on it. They have been hitting Gura better than the figures suggest, because snapping them off on the play by Patek in the 3rd inning was the key.
Of course, that put out by the pitcher to first on Jackson snaps his string of successive trips to first base.
Nothing is forever.
Roy White takes ball 1.
Except Jackson. He's forever young.
Keith?
Yes.
Oh.
White swings out from under his hat.
Before this series is over, we may yet get a game like we've had in the prior series the past 2 years between the 2 teams, and such as you had Monday at Fenway, Keith.
Well, in '76, Jim Hunter won the first game for New York, and Kansas City took it right down to the last gasp before Chambliss could hit the home run and win it for the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. 2-2.
Beautiful pitch by Gura.
He just threw him 2 back-to-back changeups, 2-0, 2-1, and that just shows that he's not going out there and just throwing fastballs. He is still changing speeds.
Roar's gone.
Oh, did he have him fishing? The Yankees, by the way, also have to hold Kansas City.
So Roy White on a check swing strikeout. And after 3.5 innings of play, the Kansas City Royals, with their home folks hooting for them, lead by a score of 5-0. The batter is George Brett for Kansas City. Takes strike 1 with Hal McRae on deck and Amos Otis to follow.
That's why I like Brett so much. You see a little flash of personality to smile back to the umpire.
Strike 2.
He had disagreed with the call, but he's relaxed now. The Royals are ahead 5-0. See?
Well, he usually has about 43 hit games every year. When you can hit like that, you can afford to have him miss a pitch. He's really an outstanding hitter. He can hit the ball, he can hit it out in right field, and he drives the ball left field.
Bone chips in the thumb.
It's got him hurt.
Hits it toward Nettles at third. That throw almost sailed away from Chris Chambliss, but he's able to, with that long body, reach out.
He wasn't just signaled out. Luciano waved him out. Luciano right now posturing for the fans.
I like that. The umpire is so much a part of the game. It's fun. That's what you come to the ballpark for, is to have some fun. Fair ball. Nettles bare hand. Safe. There's an example of how well McRae can move down the line.
But what a play by Nettles. Barehanding the ball and throwing in virtually the same motion. Look at this again, closely now. The ball slowly hit, close to the foul line. Look at Nettles.
He's a good athlete.
From that position, still another angle. Impossible to get everything on the throw that you'd like to. And as Keith noted, the speed of McRae evident. Getting down the first from the right side of the plate.
With one out, Amos Otis, and McRae goes on the first pitch. The throw by Munson. He's gone. Thurman gets him.
That's why he didn't run last time, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you, Thurman snapped that thing through there pretty well.
Quick release. The whole thing was the release. There's Jim Beatty, who had the victory last night.
2 out now. The bases are clean. As Otis is in with a single, a stolen base, and caught looking at a third strike. That pitch is high and tight. 1-1. Hits it toward Mickey Rivers. Can't get it. Flags it down. And Otis is on, and that's a pretty good play by Mickey Rivers right there as he goes way up in the air to get the Carroll.
Well, Mickey's playing out in right center on this ball, and the ball's at the left center, and he comes over, and he realizes he's going to take a hop, so he's going to try to catch it on the short hop and just jump before it gets over his head. Makes a fine play.
It really was.
Otis came around first like he thought he was going to go for 2, but thought better of it.
Well, we talked about Rivers' ability to throw, which is downgraded last night, which is really better than it's presumed to be. Meantime, that outstealing of McRae turns out to be a big play for the Yankees.
Pitch is low. Otis has a little more speed than McRae at first base, but with 2 out and Darrell Porter up, we'll see. He goes. Porter hits it to right field, and Otis turns and goes to third. For Darrell Porter with a sacrifice fly and back-to-back singles.
In 3 2/3 innings, the Royals have collected 10 hits. They have 1 base on balls. They're making use of their hits more effectively than the Yankees did last night. And the Yankees were squandering opportunities all over the place until Jackson hit the 3-run homer.
Pete Lecoq. Hit to the hole on the right side to Stanley. Fred was playing him there and throws him out. And the inning is over, and the Royals leave 2. But after 4, it's 5-0 Kansas City. To lead it off with Bucky Dent to follow, and then we'll go back to the top of the order for Mickey Rivers and Kansas City on top of the Yankees with 5 runs, 10 hits, and an error. The Yankees no runs, 4 hits, and an error against this left-hander, Larry Gura.
We're coming into the middle innings now. That's a ball, and at this stage of the game, Jim, this is when the Yankees, from their point of view, have to start chipping away to get back into this ball game.
Well, they got to do something to let Larry Gura know that maybe shake his confidence.
2 balls and no strikes to Fred Stanley. Fred had a single his first time. Hits it up the middle. Otis over, makes the catch. Ball hung just enough. Bucky Dent. Ball 1 from Gura. When Jim Colburn went off to Seattle for Steve Braun coming here for bench strength and started last night in left field, that's when Gura became a starter. Done a terrific job for them this year. 1-1. He was 19-1, I believe, in his senior year at Arizona State. He was also at one time told by Bobby Winkles he didn't think he was good enough to make the team. He couldn't have a scholarship. Changes speeds and pops him up. Second baseman Frank White calls, makes the catch. 2 out. But as Larry grew and days passed, Wink changed his mind and he became a very successful pitcher for the Sun Devils. And now for Kansas City.
He's done a great job. He's 28-9 since he came with the Royals. This is his first opportunity since 1975 to start over 20 games.
Mickey Rivers
did that for the Yankees. Was Billy Martin there then?
Yeah. Maybe the Yankees would have done better if Billy was sitting in the box today, because at the near side of him, Gura becomes inflamed. Look at him.
1-1.
Growing in effectiveness now and in confidence, as you said, Jim.
Well, when you go through a season and you have a 2.74 ERA and you win your 14-4 as a starter, that helps your confidence a great deal.
Three and 2.
Got that ball down there. Mickey swung over it. That's the man who saved the Yankees in the last inning when he nailed McRae trying to steal.
Inside, and so we have yet to have an in-order inning of retirement for the Yankees as Mickey Rivers walks.
That's one of the rare events in baseball when Mickey Rivers walks.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, it almost hit him. That's the only reason he did walk.
I don't think Mickey knows really. I'll bet it that if you ask Mickey what kind of a ball he prefers to hit, he might give you the same kind of answer that Yogi might have given you a few years ago, one that I can reach. Thurman Munson. In the air to right center. Otis is back waiting. The inning is over. And so, after 4.5 innings, the score continues. Kansas City 5 and the Yankees nothing. For the third time in the ball game, the number 6 man in the order, Clint Hurdle, leads off an inning. And the pitch is outside. He'll be followed by Al Collins and Fred Patek. Chris Chambliss will do it himself. Hurdle is out. Look at Luciano working at it.
Ron dusts himself off and starts all over again.
Was he a tackle at Syracuse?
This program, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WABC TV, New York.
Bucky Dent. Got him. 2 down. The Royals counted one time in the bottom of the first. Jumped on the Yankees starter Ed Figueroa and Dick Tidrow for 4 more in the bottom of the second inning. The Royals are batting now in the bottom of the 5th inning, and they lead the Yankees by a score of 5-0. Game number 2 of the American League Championship Series. Off day tomorrow, Friday afternoon, Yankee Stadium, New York. The pitch to Freddie Patek inside Beaumont.
You can't expect a baseball classic every day, such as we had at Fenway Park on Monday when the Yankees beat the Red Sox. But
that's to Bucky Dent at shortstop. Bucky gets 2 of the Royals here in the bottom of the 5th, and so we've gone through 5 innings of play with the Royals on top 5-0. Back with more after this word from our local station.
And it's another homer for Johnny Bench.
I've always believed you should do the best you can. That's why I feel good about recommending Batter Up to the parents of Little Leaguers. It's the best kind of batting practice for youngsters. It improves timing and helps develop a level swing. My name's on Batter Up, and I believe in it. I won't promise it'll make your youngster a big leaguer, but you never know.
Batter Up by Fonus and Little League approved.
Make them quick.
In control, he'll be pitching now to Lou Piniella, the New York Yankees. Then it'll be Reggie Jackson and Greg Nettles. Larry Gura, a Slovak name, freely translated means the mound.
the what?
The mound, like in pitchers.
Okay.
According to Larry. Piniella hits it high in the air to the right side in foul territory. Lecoq is waved off by Frank White, the second baseman, and Frank makes the catch.
Mr. Gura is getting better and better. As I was saying before the break, at the termination of the prior inning, we can't expect a baseball classic such as Monday's Yankee-Boston game every day, but in point of truth, last night's game was a dull one because of the Yankee domination. Today's game is a dull one because of the Royals domination. And these fans, even though they're ahead 5-0, don't excite you, do they, Keith?
Well, that's the way they are in the middle of the country, I reckon. They come out, enjoy themselves, behave themselves, and go home. But I personally think that Freddie Patek hit it right on the head. You need them rattling the seats, whooping and crying for your good fortune, if they are, in fact, as they should be, partisan. Ball one to Reggie Jackson, and there's Freddie getting a new pair of specs. Straps them on as the sun now seeps through the light gray overcast. That's on the ground to Frank White, the second baseman. 2 out. Jimmy, let me ask you a question. I made the point that Larry Gura is a weightlifter and lifts during the season. Do you lift weights?
Yes, I did all last winter. I don't know
Not
if I
during
can.
Season.
No. I do some light weights in every day just about.
Jog every morning.
I did this morning. It was lovely.
Mm-hmm. What's the problem with your right leg?
No, I think, Keith, the reason he does that is because a lot of times when you throw, the so-called experts have said, it just affects your muscle tone, and you get weaker as the season goes along.
Gura covers it first. Lecoq makes the play. It's a 3-1 out on Nettles. The inning is over. The first time in the ball game, the Yankees have gone in order. Yogi Berra standing there in the Yankee dugout. Phone coming out of one ear and walkie-talkie in his right hand, and they are still using, though in fact several ball clubs now are doing it, using the walkie-talkie to position ball players in the outer defenses. ABC World News tonight coming up following the game, eastern part of the country.
We use it in Baltimore, Keith, just to see. We have a radar gun that sits behind home plate, just to see how hard a guy's thrown in the beginning of the game and later on.
Frank White is the batter, and he hits that ball high and deep and foul to left field against the California Angels here in this ballpark. White hit one a home run way back up in the back of the stands and down the left field line.
He, too, can surprise you. He's had his best year, as you can see, and you saw the 7 home runs. One night.
That's a high fly ball out into left field. The sun has broken through now and is quite bright as Piniella puts down the glasses to make the catch for out number 1.
One night at Yankee Stadium, he possibly stunned the Yankees with a big home run that brought about a Royals victory. He's cutting the mold of Willie Randolph. Not as good a hitter, but in all other respects, the same type ball play. You know, Jim?
Well, they're both about equals defensively. I talked to Willie today. I mean, he's very disappointed he can't play. Tremendous respect for both of them. They're both outstanding players. They're the best second basemen in the league.
With one out, George Brett hits a foul ball. Let me tell you very briefly how this thing works. Now, Randolph was taken off the League Championship Series roster by the Yankees, but he is available if they can get him well to put him back on the World Series roster. So he would be available for the World Series, but not be available for the Championship Series. Good play by Fred Stanley. Brett's gone. Chicken made a good move on that ball.
Must say, Tidrow has done a good job since he had one struggling inning in the fourth, but look at that again. But when Munson nailed McRae, he weathered that inning. I tell you, the hidden heroes.
Did a great job last year for the Yankees. Hit 260.
Fred, he's a good ball player. This year had his big night when he hit a grand slammer at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. We still don't believe it.
I don't think they believe Bucky Dent either.
No, I don't think so.
That's foul in the crowd, and I still say Bucky Dent's 3-run home run the other day, Monday in Fenway, was the quietest home run that I have ever seen.
It's understandable.
You had 34,000 people that didn't want to see it happen.
Full count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Outside, and Hal McRae's aboard.
Well, even with 2 out, that's asking for trouble with a hitter like Amos Otis coming up. I hate to pass this along because it defies a conversation I had on videotape earlier with Bob Lemon, but Mickey Moravito, the Yankees PR man, tells us that Bob Lemon says it definitely will be Catfish Hunter pitching this Friday night.
McRae off first. Snap throw down there by Thurman. He's back.
You're probably right, Howard, because when I talked to Art Fowler, I asked him if Guidry had any arm problems, and he said no, he's just a little bit tired. But he said Thurman said of the last 3 or 4 games he had pitched, the best stuff he had was in Fenway Park the other day. I guess they just don't want to take any chances with him.
Well,
up the middle, flagged by Tidrow. And Amos Otis is gone, and the inning is over. So we roll along through 6 innings of play, and the score remains 5-0 Royals. Down into the waning portions of this ball game for the Yankees as Chris Chambliss, Roy White, and Fred Stanley are the scheduled hitters. Chris is at the plate with a couple of singles in today's ball game, but it's Kansas City 5 and New York nothing, and Gura is on the corner with a strike. Brushes him back.
Into the late innings now. I note that Clint, look at that right there.
That's foul.
I note that Clint Hurdle, the youngster, is still out left field. I wonder why Whitey hasn't put in perhaps Zeb.
I don't know. Hurdle's not a bad outfielder, but Zeb is better. I guess he just doesn't want to make the change. Maybe he feels that 5 runs isn't enough.
Single off the glove of Gura. Almost flagged it, but Chris had some authority on it, and so Chambliss now 3 for 3.
This just looks like a slider in the middle of the plate. Well, no, it's a pretty good pitch.
Just over brushing Gura's glove.
Chris was right. Maybe as bad as he tired.
Not today, anyway.
No.
Here's Roy White now, who has been aboard on the fielder's choice and called out on a checked swing. Strike. High.
Now's the time to remember what Jim Palmer said a few innings ago relative to Larry Gura and his not very efficient record of complete games. He tires in the late innings.
So strike.
Usually, you're right.
Of course, it is cooler now, too, than it is oftentimes in the midsummer. Very fresh day.
It's a key batter because you have Fred Stanley coming up next, and you'll probably see a pinch hitter if Roy White would get on. Maybe even if he doesn't.
That's a foul.
Cliff Johnson.
He is a big horse. That stroke to left by White. Base hit. Well, we'll see now.
That's the thing about Roy White. We talked about him at length last night. The dependability. Mel Allen, back in the old days when he was broadcasting Yankee games, called Tommy Henrich old reliable. As we get ready now, you're looking at the pinch hitter, the very man we talked about. Mel Allen used to call Tommy Henrich old reliable and Gene Woodling old faithful. They should have a similar name for Roy White, the Yankee fans, because he rarely spikes a rally, which is one of the key elements in being a winning ball player. The
Here's the
ability
man
to sustain a rally.
right here, though, who will probably determine whether or not this is a real rally. You have Marty Patton, the right-hander, and Al Robosky, the left-hander. And Robosky was the victim of Reggie Jackson's 3-run homer last night. But Cliff Johnson will come to the plate to bat for Fred Stanley with Bucky Dent to the on-deck circle.
Well, what was it Chris Chambliss told you before the game? In this big ballpark, the only guys on our team likely to hit it out are Reggie Jackson and Greg Nettles.
I think he forgot about Cliff.
That's right. Cliff can hit it out of any ballpark in the world if he gets his pitch.
Well, you know, it's funny. He came over last year and he hit 12 home runs for the Yankees. Really made some key hits. But when you don't know a hitter and you have a meeting and you say, where should you pitch him? You throw him, you say, well, pitch him down. He is a low ball hitter. And he likes to golf the ball. Not a very good curveball hitter, but like you said, can hit the ball out of Yosemite.
He's hit 2 pinch hit home runs this year.
I tell you, play him in Toronto. He goes, well, just as you couldn't win in Toronto, and Harlow became a pitcher on your staff, Jim.
You mean me or the Orioles?
The Orioles.
Oh, okay. I couldn't win there either, by the way.
Chambliss at second base, White at first base, nobody out. Yankees building a threat in the top of the 7th inning. Outside with that pitch. 1-1 to Johnson. First time in the ball game that the Yankees have been able to get the first 2 men on to lead off an inning. It's in the top of the 7th with 2 pitchers in the bullpen. Marty Patton, right-hander, Robosky, left-hander. Herzog grows more attentive. And on the ground to White at second. He'll go to first. That's 1. The runners move up. Chambliss to third. White to second.
The shortstop, Bucky Dent.
Bucky Dent now coming to the plate as Gura comes walking slowly. He will talk now with his catcher, Darrell Porter.
Big out.
Baseball.
Made a very nice pitch. He threw him a changeup behind the count and was obviously pulled, hit the ball on the end of the bat. Not exactly what you want because you do have runners in scoring position both at second and third, but I think the key there is to get it out.
Here is Bucky Dent now with 1 out, runners at second and third. The last shutout we had in the American League Championship Series was Game 3, 1974. Vida Blue beat Jim Palmer 1-0. Dent hits it on the ground to the right side for a base hit. Gura's shutout is gone. 2 runs will score.
Well, Bucky Dent again. And so the Yankees are back in this ball game.
Center fielder, Mickey Rivers.
Roy White, again a key factor. Look at him steaming in. Long slide. Feet across the plate. Safely in.
3 singles in the inning to give the Yankees a total of 7 now versus 10 for Kansas City. Gura's shutout's gone. It's a 5-2 ball game. Patton and Robosky throw with purpose of the bullpen, and here is Mickey Rivers. 1 out.
One more hit, Keith, and Mr. Gura's gone. He's gone.
There it is right there.
He's gone.
It's in the alley. Towns comes over in a hurry, flags it, but Bucky Dent steams on around to third, and Mickey Rivers is on with his second hit of the day.
Cowens played it very well. Now we get some excitement in this ball game. Frankly, I'll be astonished if he leaves Larry in any longer. Won't you, Jim?
Well, with Thurman Munson coming up, even though he isn't swinging well, you think they make a change. But after last night, who's it going to be?
There he comes.
There he comes.
Well, it Gura just gets the ball up.
Well, that's right. And Mickey was just waiting.
Well, Mickey's a high ball
played
hitter.
it beautifully. I thought it was going to be up the alley.
I don't think Mickey hit it really that well. He just kind of hit it in the gap, and Al can cover a lot of ground out there.
You figure it'll be Marty Patton, right-hander, with Munson coming up. But I was wrong on the batter a while ago, so I'm not going to offer an opinion.
Sissy.
Here comes Patton, right-hander.
Well,
Marty Patton, the senior member on the Royals roster at age 35, will come in relief of Larry Gura, who gets a big round of applause for his work today against the Yankees.
the thing about Marty Patton is he is a good competitor. At best, he's just got average stuff, but he'll use his fastball well, moving it in and out to both right-handed and left-handed hitters. He does throw a hard slider, and he's a guy who'll battle you and scramble with you every step of the way.
Patton on the year with an earned run average of 3.32. Record 3-3. He appeared in 32 ball games and pitched 78 2/3 innings, and that's the line on Larry Gura now, who waits in the dugout. He'll surely stay right there until this contest is decided. Rivers goes. Munson hits it high in the air to left field. Short left as Patek goes back to make the play, and Dent has to hold at third.
Munson is utterly disgusted with himself. That was not a good swing, not remotely a good swing. He barely left home plate and showed his disgust openly. He's having a hard time of it.
Well, here's a pitch. It's a high slider, and it kind of hung. But I was talking to Clyde King today, and he said when you throw a slider, if you hang it, as long as you throw it hard, it's not as bad as if you just kind of throw it up there and hope that it's going to break. And Thurman apparently just got fooled, and a lot of times a pitch like that will back up. And he's not swinging well.
No, he's not.
Obviously
He was
hurting.
just reaching.
Now you've got two out, with Dent still at third and Rivers at first, and Marty Patton, Darrell Porter having a conversation near the mound.
Big out there.
It's got to give Marty some confidence to come in throwing a hanging slider and get an out.
Yes, sir.
On the other hand, maybe he's looking at it. Maybe he doesn't have real good stuff.
Maybe you should take that baseball and put it in the trophy case.
I don't think that's a real good pitch to the guy that's standing up there right now.
No, sir, not Mr. Piniella.
He's had so many big hits for the Yankees this year, Lou Piniella.
2 out, 2 on, 5-2 ball game. Rivers at first, Dent at third.
If Piniella got on, we'd have an interesting situation, wouldn't we? With Reggie up.
He's scheduled next. Hit up the middle. Otis in the bright sunshine. Flags it down. That ball was well hit, but Amos Otis had it from the time it hit the bat. And so now, in the middle of the seventh, it's a 5 base now defensively for New York, and will take the place of Fred Stanley in the lineup. Doyle last night had 2 hits and 5 trips and made a couple of good defensive plays for New York. The left-hander Gura starting today. Stanley moved over to the second base spot with Doyle waiting. Now you've got a right-hander Patton in there for New York. And Brian Doyle, the better glove perhaps at the second base position. It says third time is the charm. And I would hope a lot of folks brought a lot of charms out to the ballpark today, because the game is still up for grabs at 5-2. Kansas City coming up now in the bottom of the 7th inning with Darrell Porter, Pete Lecoq, and Clint Hurdle. Porter, sacrifice fly and a run batted in, and hits that one high in the air. And Reggie Jackson in the bright sun comes in to make the catch.
Did you see that white popping out of the glove? Hard play. Looked easy but difficult. Meantime, Tidrow, as we look at this again, deserves a great deal of credit. He's done a fine job since coming in the second inning.
I think the wind took this ball, and Doyle has no chance of catching. Reggie does come on and make a nice catch. Not
that
exactly.
Tidrow they did get 2 runs after Tidrow came in, but actually both were double play balls, as Jim Palmer observed early. He's forcing him to hit it on the ground. He's done a good job.
Pete Lecoq takes outside, ball 1. Ball is well hit down in the right field corner. It'll be in there for a couple. Lecoq steaming into second base with a strong throw by Reggie. Stand-up double, Pete Lecoq.
That'll make him even looser.
Well, he likes the ball down and in, and you'll notice that he's behind 3-1. Look where the pitch is. It's down and in. That's the ball he drives. Reggie doesn't have a chance to catch up with this ball, but does make a nice play off the wall. This wall's become much easier to play since they put the padding here.
Yep.
Before that, the angles are just impossible. Unless you play here, you know, half your games like the Royals do, it's very hard to play.
Batter is Clint Hurdle. Up for the 4th time today. He's walked once, singled once. Tidrow comes outside. Ball 1.
That ball ran out.
It really did.
Well, his ball's still moving good. You'd think that they may go to the bullpen because they're still in this game. And
that's it.
He's pitched a long time.
2 men in the Yankee bullpen now as the ball is hit high in the air to right field. Reggie going back. It is off the fence. Reggie trying to find a handle. Lecoq comes in to score. And Hurdle is squared with a triple. Big run right there.
Turned out.
This is a fastball.
Reggie should have had it.
Well, I think he made a basic mistake. He didn't get back to the wall and then come forward.
You're right.
Watch, you'll see him drift back and drift back. He might have trouble seeing it. Doesn't know where the wall is. Hasn't looked yet. And jumps way before he gets to the wall. Made a nice effort, though. That wall is awfully hard, or that fence is.
Willie Wilson has gone to third base now to run for Clint Hurdle and probably will go to the outfield. Goose Gossage and Sparky Lyle are both active in the bullpen. Well, he was up high enough to get it, didn't he?
He just didn't get to the wall.
He jumped too early. Jim analyzed it properly. Should have gone straight back to the wall and made his move from there.
It wasn't a real easy catch, though.
No.
It is now a 6-2 ball game with 1 out, and Wilson, who can flat fly over there, and Bob Lemon got to be considering a pitching change. The batter is Al Cowens, who has singled in 3 trips. That ball is flared foul to the right side in the crowd.
Tidrow certainly did his job. These 2 hits came abruptly.
Well, he just got 1 ball down to Lecoq, and the pitch to Hurdle was a belt-high fastball.
Fire them up. There are the white handkerchiefs all over the arena now.
And Steve Braun doing the cheerleading in the dugout. 1-1 pitch. Sharply at Nettles. Comes to the plate. Wilson hit hard into Munson.
Oh, boy.
Thurman didn't like it.
Thurman was ready to go at it. And Wilson isn't happy with Thurman either. Thurman blocked the plate completely, had all the time in the world. Wilson relied on barreling through Munson and knocking the ball out of his glove. He didn't succeed. Herzog is now claiming that Munson illegally blocked the plate, I presume. Jim?
I would imagine so, but they don't usually call it. I've never seen it be called.
Pretty fair collision, I'll tell you that.
In the first place, Wilson should not have sought to come home. On a ground ball hit directly to Nettles, there was no chance. Look at it there.
I'm sure the coach, though, told him to go on any infield ball because of his speed. But it seems to me that, you know, you try to steamroll a guy at home plate, but he went out of his way to come over the baseline, and I don't think Thurman thought he was going to do that.
Gene Monahan out to check on Thurman's condition. Here you see the collision. Now let me tell you this, if you wonder about why Monahan came out, because the Royals signed Willie out of Summit High School, where he had lettered in 3 sports, and he had accepted a football scholarship to go to the University of Maryland. So he's a big, strong kid. But he's also out. Over at first base on the fielder's choice, Al Cowens, and the batter now is Fred Patek. He represented an awful big run over there, even though it's 6-2, 7 would, I am sure, make the Kansas City people a lot more comfortable.
Well, Dick made a good pitch. He threw a sinker down and in. Not many places you can hit that ball. You either hit it to the third baseman or you hit it foul.
Ball is well hit to left. Way back. It is gone. Patek, home run.
Remember what he said in the pregame show? Now listen to these fans. The whole storyline of this game was embodied in Freddie Patek before the game, Keith, when he said, we've got to make these fans believe. We believe in ourselves. There are 25 of us who do. Well, maybe now they believe.
You'll get a pitching change, obviously. In all of the years and games that Freddie Patek has played in the major leagues, he had hit only 35 home runs. He just hit number 36. And he didn't run very far from home plate either. He went about 10 feet down the line, turned around, put both hands up in the air. Now watch him after he has hit the ball. He knew he hit it well. Ball carrying right down the line and out of here at about 340 feet. Freddie standing about 10-15 feet from home plate with both hands high in the air. It'll be Sparky Lyle from the bullpen. So we've got a timeout in Kansas City, a happy place right now as Sparky walks in. The Royals lead the Yankees 8-2. Sparky Lyle is on in relief, the third New York pitcher. He delivers to Frank White, strike one. Former Cy Young Award winner, 111 2/3 innings with a record of 9-3, but he has not pitched since September 22nd. Ground ball to Dent. Bucky hitches twice and then throws out White.
The reason he has been pitched so sparingly is perfectly clear. A great pitcher a year ago, as Keith noted, Cy Young Award winner. He has been openly at odds with the management from spring training on. And he is not in favor, quite apparently, with the management. And it would seem apparent that he has been offered in various trade propositions around the league. It's a hard thing to see because the man was so great a year ago.
Well, that's the third out. I'm sitting here looking at my book. The Yankees are still out there. And now they finally come off the field.
Well, they were shattered by Patek's home run.
The scorecard was wrong. All right. 3 big runs for Kansas City. 8-2 going to the top of the 8th inning. Yeah, you want to see somebody run. Oh, can this fellow move?
He really poured it on to Thurman Munson, whose chin had to be examined by the Yankee trainer. But thinking back to that play, Jim, I wonder whether Herzog complained that he illegally went up and blocked the line or complained that Munson never actually tagged Wilson.
I think Thurman can do what he did. It's just like a rundown play. But it looked like Wilson ran, just kind of veered into him. I doubt if he tagged him.
Marty Patton pitching in relief of Larry Gura now with Al Robuski remaining in the bullpen and Reggie Jackson at the plate with Greg Nettles and Chris Chambliss scheduled against the right-hander. There's Robuski. Hit on the ground. That's into right center field. Base hit for Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, but that's
of the day.
That's the way they like Reggie to get up with nobody on to lead off the inning. He can damage a least.
I don't think he likes to make that pitch, though. He threw him a low fastball, 0-2. Not exactly, I don't think, where he wanted to.
Reggie, a pronounced low ball hitter.
Well, last night he had a high fastball in the waterfall, so I guess right now he said he can hit anything. he feels very confident. He's swinging well. And Marty Patton has made 3 pitches now, or three batters, and threw a hanging slider, a line drive to center, and a ground ball up the middle. So they're still in the game, even though it's 8-2.
Strike one. That's where he wanted to pitch to Reggie.
Yeah, tailed off nicely away from the left-handed hitter.
Wish I could do that.
How many years you've been doing it? Since '65.
Foul.
215 career victories. Do you dream of winning 300?
I'd really like to do that, Howard. I think when we make the changes, as you said last night, the defensive changes, we have, quality ball club. I wouldn't have won 215 games if we didn't. Not only this year, but every year I played there.
That's another base hit to right center field. So both men, he gets 0-2, and both men come up with singles against him.
Third baseman Chris Chambliss.
Patton now talking to Porter. Roboski throwing with purpose in the bullpen. Chambliss is the batter, and Chris today has 3 successive singles.
Something may have to happen this inning that you're probably going to second guess not bringing Sparky Lyle in a little bit early.
Probably.
Be very nice to be in this situation with the score still 5-2.
Whitey Herzog to the mound. He'll bring Roboski as Doug Bird gets up in the bullpen and starts loosening up, but it's Roboski who gets the call as Herzog walks to the mound. So he's going to fiddle around.
Herzog was very interesting when he talked to me before the game about Roboski. When he came in, brought him in last night in the 8th inning. We're going to have to break for a commercial. But he said Roboski's first pitch was just fine. The second pitch was a disaster.
Oh, that's gone. That is gone. Reggie Jackson has just hit a 3-run homer, and now that act won't go over too well.
Crowd is roaring. Roboski doing his thing behind the mound.
The crowd loves it, but Chambliss is perfectly imperturbable.
I think he liked to go 4 for 4 today.
Yeah.
I know our hitters, it makes them try harder.
Strike. That one came to the mitt of Darrell Porter at 90 miles an hour.
They got a fast gun here in Kansas City. I don't think I threw 90 all year. I mean that truly. I'm serious.
Curveball, strike 2.
That was a good pitch. Take a chance with that pitch.
Well, like Chris said, they've been throwing so many fastballs that he can't hit a breaking ball. Maybe they know that. They didn't know it the first 3 times up, though.
Jackson off second. Nettles off first. Nobody out. Hit to right side.
4 for 4.
Chambliss gets his 4th base hit. The throw to the plate. Jackson comes in. He scores. It's 8-3. Nettles at third.
Well, 2 batters have faced Mr. Roboski, both left-handers. They've shown very little respect for him. Mr. Jackson last night, Mr. Chambliss just now.
Well, I guess 3 years ago, he had a fantastic year in the National League. Last year, they said he lost 2 feet off his fastball. This year, he's done a good job for Kansas City, but the scouting reports say he is not throwing with the velocity that he did. And if he's anything, he's a high fastball pitcher. Last night, they hit his high fastball, which indicates he's not throwing well. And now he just threw a curveball, and Chambliss hit that into right field.
Roy White steps out on him.
I would have thought Nettles would have gotten a 3rd on that hit, especially with a throw to home, no cutoff, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I think when you have a tendency to be 5 runs down, you play kind of safe.
High pop-up. Frank White. the first out of the inning.
And a very big one.
Craig took a big turn, took a look at it, and then stopped. White talking to Robuski.
I don't really think that he expected him to make a play at home plate. The wise play.
Paul Blair is out, swinging a bat. Ball swings, pumps it up on the right side. Frank White going quickly, gets it. Athletic ability. Instinctive play by White. He was moving. He read it very quickly. If he had been 1/2 stride later, he would not have reached it. Little soft looper.
Normally when you come inside on Paul Blair, that's where he hits the ball best, but he must have thrown that ball pretty good because he got in there and he jammed him, got it up on the fist, and Frank White made a nice play.
The shortstop, Bucky Dent.
Bucky Dent now at the plate for New York. 8-3 on 13 hits for Kansas City, 11 hits for New York. Nettles at second base. Robuski, the third Kansas City pitcher.
I would get embarrassed to do that and then give up a three-run home run.
Well, he's doing all right now. He got White, a tough hitter.
The fastball was high. Nettles and Chambliss edging off. Jackson singled, Nettles singled, Chambliss singled, and Jackson scored to make it 8-3 here in the top of the 8th inning. Got White to pop up. Little soft looper by Blair, the pinch hitter. That ball is hit to center field, and it is trapped. And Nettles comes home to score with Chambliss moving up to second base, and it's 8-4.
3 runs batted in for Bucky Dent. And here's where Jim Palmer's earlier remark about second-guessing Bob Lemon comes in. Let's watch it again.
It's another fastball up and in, and he doesn't hit it very well. Like I said last night, Amos Otis does play the deepest center field in the American League. He is a great outfielder. But sometimes you wish you play like Paul Blair. You get to those balls. You don't hit many balls over Amos's head.
But you were talking about the second guess. How can you second guess Bob Lemon with what he's done this year? But he did elect to stay with Tidrow. And so...
Well, the reason I say that is you have an off day tomorrow. Why not come in, bring a fresh pitcher? I guess he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in Sparky because he hasn't pitched in 17 days. But the man won a Cy Young Award last year. If they're going to trade him, I hope they trade him to Baltimore.
Well, here's Gary Thomason. So, Nick the Quick, I guess. Keith?
Well, I'm sure Paul Blair will go in to play either center field or second base. Thomason could go in to play the outfield as well. He's a good defensive player. There's a strike. 3-2. Gary was taken all the way to it. Didn't make a move. Now Mengori, the left-hander, is up for the first time today. He worked well last night. Hit to the right side. Lecoq gets it. Does it himself. Just barely. And the uprising is finally put down. Sponging off after a tough inning of work for Kansas City. Gary Thomason goes in to play center field now defensively for New York, and Paul Blair does go to the second base spot for the Yankees. And that's where he started as he came up to the biggies, was at second base. George Brett for Kansas City now. Top of the order, Hal McRae and Amos Otis in an 8-4 ball game. And Sparky Lyle, pitching for New York, is in with a strike. Butt laid down. Good butt. Nettles comes. No chance.
Well, that's why Brett's one of the toughest offensive players in the league. If Greg Nettles has one weakness, it's the bunt. He plays the deepest third base in the American League.
You are astute.
I've been playing long enough. I didn't know that. Earl Weaver is constantly telling our players, you can't hit it by him.
That's right.
You might as well bunt on him. And when you do that, you bring him in closer.
He plays a defensive third base. His position enables him to make brilliant stops, cut off apparent hits, least susceptible, as you said, to the boot.
Brett back at first base now. Hal McRae, the batter, with Amos Otis into the on-deck circle. He puts it down. Brett's good. Sparky Lyle making his first appearance for the Yankees since September 22nd. Brett goes. The pitch is hit to right field. Reggie Jackson plays it on a bounce. Brett comes to the plate. And it's 9-4. That's just like they write it in the book. Porter is up now. Throw. Not in time, and Otis is on second base. Kansas City running and gunning today. And the count is 2-2 on Darryl Porter with one out. Big jump. And Otis flying. He's in there easy. So the two teams are going to board airplanes and head for Yankee Stadium to resume play on Friday. All even at 1-1 in a best-of-5 playoff series. The ball hit to the right side. Chambliss over, makes the play to Sparky Lyle, and they get Darryl Porter with the base runner Otis moving on down to third. That stolen base by Amos Otis, his third in the series, and it ties a record for several people. So the next time Amos gets a stolen base, and you would presume with his speed he might very well, before it's done, he would own that particular record. Pete Lecoq, the batter. With two out.
He just stroked it.
Just melted it. So the Royals are going round and round as the base runner comes galloping in. Otis from third, and it's now double figures for Kansas City at 10-4.
Left fielder Willie Wilson.
The batter now is Willie Wilson. The pitch is inside.
When you came on camera today for the first time, you held up the Kansas City Times headline.
That's to the hole. Dent goes to second and gets the force on Lecoq coming down, and the inning is over.
The headline, Keith, read, "Curses foiled again by those damn Yankees."
Yankees won last night 7-1. Right now the score is 10-4 Kansas City. Lou Piniella, Reggie Jackson to the on-deck circle. Most productive Yankee of the day has been Chris Chambliss. He's gone 4 for 4. The pitchers of record still Larry Gura, starter for Kansas City, and Ed Figueroa, the starter for New York.
Lou told me today he wishes I was pitching because at least he know he would go 2 for 4. Nice thing to tell a guy.
That's a little soft fly ball out to left center, and Willie Wilson's speed makes it look easy. 2 out.
The right fielder Reggie Jackson.
Both teams having used 3 pitchers in the ball game today, and with 2 out, nobody on, here's Reggie. Is making the kind of noise here late in the game I thought they'd been making in the first inning, but they have enjoyed themselves today. With a total of, his first pitch to Reggie is in for a strike, a total of 82,301 for the 2 games here at Royal Stadium.
Now they'll shout with every pitch.
Last time these two faced each other last night, and Reggie peeled a home run way out yonder at 385 feet. Pitch is high. 28 hits by the 2 teams ties a American League Series record. They had previously been set by the Baltimore Orioles and the Minnesota Twins in the 1969 league playoff.
It's one of the games I pitched. Huh? It's the 3rd game of the playoff, the one I pitched.
I think today, though, our viewers got a sense of the skills, the real skills of the Kansas City team.
It's a typical game.
What a good down-the-line-up hitting team they are. How they use their team speed. What excellent base runners they are.
Reggie took a full rip, and it's 2-2.
Well, they got 16 hits, 3 of them for extra bases. The rest singles. They hit and ran. They stole bases.
They played defense today.
Patek made a great play.
He certainly did. At a critical time when he started that double play on Munson, he made a great play.
Also hit a 2-run home run.
Can't forget that.
He was the little man. Now they're on their feet in Kansas City. There they go. Now every fan, it seems, in the stands is waving a handkerchief. And now, it's as Fred Patek said in the pregame show, we want them to give us enthusiasm. Instead, we've got to give it to them. And today, the Kansas City Royals did just that. Keith?
The 2 teams will leave Kansas City headed for New York, all even 1 game apiece. The line score as Kansas City beats the Yankees today 10-4.